Have you ever wondered, when you fall asleep, where do you really go? Discover the truth about the spiritual journey hidden in your sleep and why they don't want you to remember it. Every night when the lights go out and the world goes quiet, you're not just falling asleep. You're embarking on a journey that your soul remembers, but your rational mind has forgotten. They've taught you that sleep is a cessation of activity, that it's when your brain shuts down. But you sense something more. Deep down, you know that every night you're leaving your physical confines, passing through invisible doors that the waking world never opens. We're programmed from childhood to believe that dreams are random products of the brain, that they're nothing more than chaos. But ask yourself, if dreams aren't important, why did ancient civilizations treat them as rituals? Why did the ancient Egyptians spend their lives preparing for their night journey through the duat, the afterlife? Why Tibetans practice dream yoga to master death and rebirth? The answer is simple: because in sleep you access a reality without barriers, without masks, without pretense. Remember the last time you had a dream so vivid that when you woke up it haunted you all day? A face, a place, a strange feeling, as if you had actually been there. It was not an illusion. It was your soul reaching out to a memory beyond time. When your body sleeps, your consciousness moves freely, unbound by gravity, the laws of physics or logic. You are not dreaming, you are traveling. In ancient times, sages did not consider dreams meaningless. They knew that they were the soul's way of absorbing profound lessons that everyday life could not teach. Every symbol, every stranger, every dream scenario is a coded message from your higher consciousness. A dream about a snow-capped mountain can be a reminder that there is still a peak within you that has yet to be conquered. An old friend who suddenly appears in your dream can be a sign that a part of your soul needs healing, or that you need to close an old chapter. I remember the story of a friend of mine, a successful businessman, a man of pure logic. He told me that after dreaming one night that he was drowning in a black ocean, the next morning, he felt a strong urge to change. He left his multi-million-dollar company behind and began a journey to live a simpler life, reconnecting with nature. 10 years later, he said that was the only decision that led him to true freedom. You see, sometimes dreams don't need to be interpreted, they just need to be listened to. But why is this truth hidden? Why does modern society make us regard dreams as nonsense, as brain noise? The answer lies in this. When you believe that sleep is just unconscious rest, you are easily led. You become part of an endless cycle: work, consume, tire, repeat. But when you realize that each night is an opportunity to awaken a deeper part of yourself, you become free. And a free person is not easily controlled. Imagine a world where people go to sleep with intention, with the awareness that they are entering sacred ground. A world where every child is taught that their dreams are a connection to universal intelligence. A world where people wake up each morning not just to check their email, but to check the messages their souls have sent them during the night. Such a world would be a nightmare for systems of power based on forgetting and enslavement. You don't have to wait for that world. You can start it tonight. Before you close your eyes, take a few minutes to breathe deeply, to connect with your intention. Say to yourself, tonight, when I awaken in a dream, I listen to my soul. This is not a superstitious ritual. It is an act of claiming your power, your right to remember, your right to awaken. Don't worry if you don't remember your dreams at first. Don't be discouraged if your dream world seems chaotic. Like a forgotten ancient language, it takes time to relearn. But every night you set your intention. Every morning you jot down the fragments of your memories. You are reweaving the thread that once connected you to the universe. Sleep is not the end of consciousness. It is an invitation to the dance of the soul. And you are not an outsider. You are the dancer, the dreamer, the creator. You simply remember. So tonight, when the world around you is silent, will you choose to just sleep, or will you choose to awaken? The answer is not in a book, not in a distant philosophy. It is in your own heart, the place that always knows the truth, waiting for you to return. Dreamland is not just an illusion. It is the real land where your soul flies away. Every night when you relax your body and let your consciousness drift into a state of unconsciousness, you are entering a door that opens to invisible worlds that modern science has only begun to touch with vague hypotheses. Ancient sages, Taoists, and priests have long known that dreams are not illusions, but a life more real than waking life. In dreams, you enter a universe where thoughts become instantaneous actions, where emotions build the scene, where memories and the future flow past each other like rivers flowing in reverse. This is where your soul sheds its heavy fleshly garment and returns to its original state, free, creative, and immortal. The Tibetans have a concept called lucid dreaming, the ability to maintain awareness that you are dreaming while still in the dream. For them, lucid dreaming is not just a game or a skill to brag about, but the first step in practicing for death, because they know that the path you take in your dreams is the same path you will take when you leave this body. They understand that the soul accustomed to traveling freely will not be frightened by death. It will walk in the light unfettered by fear or ignorance. The modern world, with its glaring neon lights, glowing phone screens, and fast-paced life, is gradually depriving us of the ability to feel this truth. We go to bed exhausted, tired, lost in trivial thoughts about work, bills, meetings, and then we wonder why we no longer remember our dreams. The answer is clear. Our souls are being killed by willful forgetting. The further we move away from our dreams, the further we move from our true selves. I once heard a man say that in the darkest days of his life, when he had lost all his wealth, his reputation, and even his friends, the only thing that saved him was his dreams. In his dream, he saw himself standing in a vast field, the sun shining on his face, and in the space, he heard a voice whispering, "You are not forgotten." The next morning, though, nothing had changed in the physical world. He felt a new strength rising within him. He got up, he started again from scratch, and in the end, he not only recovered, but lived a happier, deeper life. A dream, a message, a ray of light through the darkness. So why does the world take dreams so lightly? Why does the mass media always push sleep to the margins, treating it as an obstacle to productivity? Because a soul that remembers its power is a soul that cannot be controlled. A person who understands that sleep is a spiritual adventure will no longer value empty medals or meaningless races out there. He lives by a different standard, a deeper rhythm dictated not by the outside world, but by the endless stream that flows within his soul, and perhaps you have felt it too. The feeling of being lost in a world that chases after noise, while deep down, you just want to calm down. Listen to a vague voice from somewhere very far away, very real. It is your soul calling you back. And the only bridge between the physical world and that spirit world is the dream. Dreams are not only where you heal, but also where you create. The great artists, scientists, philosophers of humanity have all admitted that many of their greatest ideas came from dreams. Mendeleev dreamed of the periodic table. Einstein imagined the theory of relativity by imagining himself riding a beam of light. Salvador Dali deliberately woke up in the middle of his dreams to capture the surreal before his mind could destroy it. These great men did not see dreams as random. They saw dreams as treasures, as doorways to a wisdom that was far beyond themselves. If you begin to see sleep not as an off switch, but as a ritual, if you enter the night with gratitude, with the intention of discovery, with the willingness to learn, you will begin to change. No one needs a guide, no priest, no guru, no dogma. Your soul is the best teacher. Your soul will take you back to that ancient memory that you are more than your body, more than your name, more than the stories others have given you. You are a dreamer, but not a dreamer. You are the creator. You are the one who walks the veil between worlds with courage and awareness. And every night when you go to sleep, you have the opportunity to practice for it. So tonight, when darkness covered the world, will you choose to drift aimlessly into oblivion? Or will you enter your dreams as a true explorer with the torch of awareness in hand? Go to sleep as a spiritual warrior. Treat each sleep as a sacred ritual. The Forbidden Book, the mysterious map that guides the journey of the soul. It is a silent but fierce truth that throughout history, those in power have not only controlled resources, people, and territory, they have also tried to control consciousness. They know that once you remember who you are, once you tap into the immortal memory within, no one can control you anymore. That is why many ancient texts, maps that guide the soul, have been hunted down, burned, and hidden under the dust of time. One of them, a mysterious manuscript known by many names, the Codex, the Dream Law, or simply the Forbidden Book, reveals in detail where the human soul actually goes each night. The book does not explain the world as a series of physical events that we can measure, but rather draws a map of overlapping worlds where thought and reality have no boundaries. It says that when you sleep, your soul is released, floating freely along a silver cord still connected to your body, but no longer bound by it. In that state, you are no longer subject to Newton's laws or the concept of linear time. You are moving to the rhythm of your consciousness, to the subtle but powerful signals that emanate from your deepest self. Don't think this is just a far-fetched myth. Modern scientists, from near-death experience studies to out-of-body experiences, have encountered things they cannot explain with conventional logic. They have found evidence of consciousness outside the brain, of the ability to perceive in states where the physical body has ceased to function. What the ancient sages knew thousands of years ago, science is only now beginning to vaguely confirm. But the most terrifying thing for the control system is not that you dream of flying or meeting dead loved ones, but that you become conscious in those dreams. Because once you are conscious, you begin to learn to move with your will. You learn to see the energy structure that surrounds everything. You discover that each of your thoughts has the power to shape reality. And when you bring those skills back to the waking world, you become a person who is no longer easily manipulated by fear, lack, or cheap illusions of power. I remember a friend of mine, a man who spent most of his life in the military, telling me about a strange night. In his dream, he found himself standing before an endless sea of light, where every question he had ever had was answered by feeling without words. When he woke up, he was no longer afraid of death, no longer haunted by old wounds. He began to live differently, more lightly, more freely, and above all, with a deep belief that he was an inseparable part of something much greater than this material world. That is the power that the forbidden book was meant to evoke. The power of a free spirit, a consciousness no longer bound by narrow limits. And that is why it was destroyed, buried, distorted. A society where every individual remembers that he or she can travel between worlds, that he or she can create reality with pure intention, is a society that cannot be controlled by fear or desire. But fortunately, the soul's memory cannot be destroyed. It only gathers dust, and every time you fall asleep with attention, every time you wake up with a flash of awareness that something has happened, you are blowing away that dust. Every dream you remember, every feeling you cherish, every moment you sit in silence and listen to the inner whisper is another step closer to rewriting the forbidden book with your own experience. Because in the end, no one can give you the map of your soul but yourself. No sage, no guru, no philosophy can replace your own personal search, your own personal awakening. The answer lies not in ancient stone temples, not in the pages of rotting books, but in every breath you take, every heartbeat you feel as you let your consciousness fly free in the darkness. You don't have to wait for a miracle. The miracle is happening every night, every time you sleep. If only you remember, if only you are willing to ask. And the most important question is, are you willing to look through the veil despite all your fears, all your doubts, into the world where you truly belong? You are not just a passenger in your dreams. You are the creator, the navigator, the explorer. And when you go to sleep with intention, with courage and humility, you will find the hidden maps, not on paper, but engraved deep in your soul. When soul and body synchronize, the outside world begins to change. There is a magical moment that most people miss, a moment as fragile as the morning dew. But with the power to change their entire lives, it is when what you experience in the dream world begins to touch your waking reality. When the emotions, the premonitions, the images from the invisible world are no longer just vague memories of the early morning, but become vivid events in everyday life. At that moment, you are witnessing one of the greatest miracles, the synchronization of soul and body. Many people think of spiritual awakening as a loud, dramatic event, a bright light illuminating all the dark corners. But in fact, it often begins very quietly. A long look into the eyes of a stranger on the street, an uncanny sense that you have stood there before, even though your mind screams in denial. A dream last night about a strange symbol, and this morning it appears on the cover of a book you happen to pick up. These little things, when appreciated and listened to, become the thread that guides you back to yourself. You may begin to realize that the physical world is no longer a giant cold machine, but a living mirror of your inner self. The people you meet, the opportunities that come your way, even the challenges that stand in your way, all bear the imprint of the lessons you have learned in your dreams. What once seemed random now seems to be arranged with some higher intelligence, as if life knows every step you will take. Let me tell you the story of a young woman I met at a meditation retreat. She had struggled with depression for years, feeling like she was lost in the world. One night in her dream, she found herself standing on a high cliff, facing an endless forest shrouded in mist. She heard a faint call from the other side, but fear held her back. When she woke up, she couldn't forget that feeling. instead of ignoring it like usual. This time she decided to take action. She started learning to draw, something she had loved since childhood but never dared to pursue. And as she drew her paintings, with misty forests, cliffs, hidden lights, touched the hearts of thousands. She didn't just heal herself, she opened doors for countless other souls. It all started with a dream she listened to. You see, this world doesn't respond to what you expect with your mind, but to the frequency you emit from your soul. And when your soul awakens, when you dare to believe in the fragile messages coming from the dream world, the whole reality begins to rearrange itself to suit you. Doors that were previously closed suddenly open. People who were once distant find you. Opportunities that seem serendipitous are actually the result of seeds you have planted in the invisible world. It's not magic. It's the law of correspondence, one of the fundamental principles of the universe passed down from ancient civilizations that we are only now beginning to rediscover. As above, so below. As within, so without. What you experience in your sleep, the healing, the awakening, the awareness, will automatically begin to reflect in your waking life. And you will begin to realize that you no longer have to fight so hard against the outside world. You no longer have to force change through exhausted willpower. Instead, you transform within, and the outside world automatically changes to match that transformation. You become a true creator, not through physical exhaustion, but through the great synchronization of your soul and body. But remember, when you begin to live in synchronicity, you can no longer hide your inner truth. You can no longer pretend to be happy when you are in pain. You can no longer ignore the dreams that remind you of the wounds that need to be healed. Synchronicity does not just bring light, it brings to the surface what needs to be faced, what needs to be embraced with love and courage. And that is the greatest gift of all, because you do not just change your life, you change the world around you. By your very presence, you become a living mirror for others, a reminder that there is another way to live, a deeper, truer, freer way. The outside world is not the enemy, it is the mirror. And when you learn to dream consciously, when you dare to bring light from the dream world into your everyday life, you not only awaken yourself, you awaken the universe. Dreams are not illusions. They are messages from the soul. Every night when the outside world is silent and your body is asleep, a deep part of you begins to work. Your soul, the essence that transcends all limits of time and space, uses those precious hours to whisper lessons, warnings, and loving reminders that you are too busy to hear while awake. And the most wonderful thing is that the soul never speaks in words, but in images, symbols and emotions that reach straight to your heart beyond all barriers of logic. Imagine that sleep is not a break between the workday, but a sacred meeting between you and your highest self. A secret meeting where your unresolved issues, repressed emotions, and forgotten dreams are brought to light, not for judgment, but for healing. And every symbol in your dreams, the winding paths, the strange rooms, the strangers are doorways to parts of your soul that you need to embrace, understand, and release. I once heard someone share that she frequently dreamed of being lost in a dark forest, unable to find her way out. In real life, she was a successful businesswoman, always appearing confident and in control. But her dreams reflected a deeper truth, the fear of losing her way, the pain of not being able to be vulnerable, that she had buried in her pursuit of success. When she began to face that fear, no longer running away from it in her sleep, she discovered a new strength, the strength of vulnerability, of the courage to admit that she needed love, needed guidance. Dreams are not meant to scare you. Even nightmares are not your enemy. They are the forgotten parts of you, the untouched pains, the messages from your own heart that cry out for attention. And when you listen to them with compassion rather than fear, you begin to open a magical portal, a portal to a deep healing that no amount of therapy can replace. But listening to dreams requires courage, because the soul does not speak in easy-to-understand language. The soul uses metaphors, symbols, and subtle feelings. A closed door may represent an opportunity you are rejecting. An unfinished flight may reflect limiting beliefs that are holding you back from reaching your dreams. A raging river may represent pent-up emotions that are yearning to be released, and you must learn to read those messages. Not with your analytical mind, but with your intuition, with your heart. Some nights you will dream of people who have long since left you. A father, a friend, an old lover. Don't dismiss them as random memories. They could be invitations to forgive, to let go, or simply opportunities to say goodbye that you never had. Some nights you will dream of flying, of turning into light, of standing on a mountaintop overlooking the world. These are reminders that your true nature is never limited by this small body. And then there will be the strangest nights when you feel that you are no longer just a dreamer, but the observer of your own dream. Those brief moments when you realize that you are in two places at once, both in a dream and aware that you are dreaming, are the first signs that you are relearning the ancient skill taught by the Taoists and shamans, the ability to travel between worlds with full awareness. This is not a gift given to special people. It is the birthright of every soul. But it is only given to those who dare to listen, dare to remember, dare to believe what their hearts know to be true, even when their minds deny it. And remember too that every dream, no matter how vague or chaotic it may seem, is a piece of a larger picture that your soul is patiently painting. A picture that not only tells of your past, but also points the way to the future you are creating. You are not alone in this journey. Your soul, that timeless wisdom, is always with you, patiently speaking, waiting for you to listen. So tonight, as you close your eyes, carry in your heart a simple but powerful question. Is there something my soul wants me to remember? And then let your dreams answer. Dreams are not fiction. They are sacred dialogues between you and your soul. And every time you listen, every time you take note, every time you act on what is prompted in your dreams, you are taking one more solid step on your journey back to your purest selves. The final awakening, when you stop being a dreamer and become a creator. There is a moment as fragile as the first breath of dawn when you are no longer just a wanderer in dreams. You become the creator of the worlds you pass through. It is the moment when you understand that you have never been just a passive character in this life drama. You are the scriptwriter, the director, the actor, all at once. When you wake up not only in your physical body, but also in your dreams, you realize that every thought, every emotion, every image you carry in your mind are the building blocks of reality. There is no longer a division between dreams and waking life. They are just different layers of the same reality, woven from the same fabric consciousness. You see signs of synchronicity appearing everywhere. You think of someone and they call you. You dream of a door, and a few days later, an unexpected opportunity opens before you. You begin to sense that nothing is truly accidental. Everything is guided by a deeper intelligence, your own intelligence when you are no longer cut off from it. But this awakening is not always gentle. It can shake up every old belief you've ever held, because once you realize that you are the creator, you also face a sacred responsibility. There is no one else to blame. No more victims. No more outside saviors. There is only you and the absolute freedom that comes with that power. I remember an inspiring story from a friend, an artist who struggled for years with creative crises. One night he dreamed that he was standing in an empty room with only a pen lying on the floor. When he picked up the pen, the whole room began to transform. The walls grew patterns. The ceiling became a starry sky. The ground became a sparkling river. He woke up with a new awareness. Every limitation he had ever felt was his own. And from that day on, he no longer waited for inspiration. He created it day by day, stroke by stroke, breath by breath. When you are awake in both dreams and reality, you begin to master the secret language that has always existed beneath the surface of life. The language of frequencies, of symbols, of intuition. You no longer simply react to the world around you, but actively tune yourself into alignment with higher realities. You choose peace over fear. You choose gratitude over resentment. You choose trust over doubt. And the world, like a faithful mirror, responds miraculously. But like a musician learning to play an ancient instrument, you need practice. You need patience. There will be nights when you feel lost. There will be mornings when you wake up with a vague sense that you have lost something precious. Do not be discouraged. Every time you return with intention, with gratitude, with a willingness to listen, you strengthen the bridge between the inner and outer worlds, between dreams and reality. Remember, your soul is never angry at you for forgetting. It only waits loving, patient, as the ocean caresses the shore. Every sleep is a new opportunity to return to listen, to create. And once you live in that state of synchronicity, the magic begins to spread. You do not need to say much. Your presence changes the room when you enter. Your gaze carries a peace that soothes the souls around you. Your voice becomes slow, deep, as if each word you speak is heard from somewhere very far away and very real. You become a living bridge between the physical and the invisible worlds. When you are in trouble, you no longer panic. You turn within, you listen. And the answer sooner or later always comes, not from outside, but from the sacred lands within you, where every question has been answered before you even knew how to ask it. You begin to realize that awakening is not about achieving a state of permanent perfection. Awakening is a constant dance between forgetting and remembering, between being lost and finding yourself. And each time you find yourself, the light within you becomes stronger, deeper, truer. And in this way, you are no longer just a living person. You become a transmitter of light, a fulcrum, an awakened dreamer, rewriting the story of the world with your very existence. You did not come here to dream. You came here to create, not here just to survive, but to remember who you are and to make your soul's deepest dreams come alive in the light of day. The eternal journey when you return home to your dreams. There comes a point after countless falls and rises, after long nights of struggling in the darkness of forgetting and awakening, when you realize that you are no longer simply a traveler between worlds. You have become the guardian of a flame that is sacred, unquenchable, untaken away, because it is your deepest essence. And at that moment, dreams are no longer a place you visit. They become your home. There is no longer a distinction between waking and dreaming, between the visible and invisible worlds. There is only pure presence, clear and powerful, like the ringing of a bell in a silent valley. You no longer seek external validation. You do not need scientific proof, religious doctrine, or social approval to believe in your inner experience. You know, like a stream that knows it will always find its way to the sea, that the dream world, that magical space where you can touch your soul, is never a fiction. It is a reality older than the oldest stones, deeper than the oldest scriptures. When you accept dreams as a living part of you, you begin to realize that all the images, people, and scenes that appear in the dark night carry messages. And every action in your dreams, a glance, a step, a small choice, is as meaningful as the stars aligning to form a map. You no longer chase after empty promises out there. You learn to listen to the silent beat of your soul, guiding you like tiny torches that never go out, even in the biggest storm. I remember an old man I met in a temple deep in the Himalayas. He had spent his life studying dreams. When I asked him what the most important thing he had discovered, he simply smiled and said, "My son, dreams are not an escape from the world. Dreams are a way to learn to see the world with the eyes of the soul." It was not an abstract theory. It was a living truth that he carried with him in every breath, every steady step on the rocky ground. And so it is with you. When you begin to see each night as a ritual, each sleep as a journey, you will see an unmistakable change. The way you see yourself, the way you move through the world, the way you love, forgive, create, all of it changes. It is no longer a habitual forced action. It is an action from a place deep within you that knows you have always been connected, always guided, always loved unconditionally. The return to your true self is not an explosive moment. It is like the dawn, slow, gentle, but unstoppable. Every time you remember a dream, every time you act on your inner guidance, every time you choose to listen instead of filling the silence with noise, that dawn spreads a little more within you. You will notice that the people you attract into your life change. Kindred spirits, soulmates begin to appear as if drawn by the invisible magnetic field of your new light. There is no longer any need to attract anything. You become a natural energy field where what is aligned with your truth comes, and what is no longer aligned quietly leaves without coercion. And most of all, you learn the greatest lesson of all. This life is not a race to the finish line. This life is a symphony where every note, whether happy or sad, bright or dark, is a perfect part of your being. You do not need to win anyone over. You do not need to prove anything to anyone. You just need to remember who you are and live each day as a silent prayer, a love song to the divinity that whispers in your every breath, in your every heartbeat. And so tonight, as you lay your head on the pillow, as you relax your shoulders weighed down by the weight of the world, remember, you are not just going to sleep. You are entering the door that connects two realities. You are returning home, not to a place, but to a state of mind. You do not need to look for the magic outside. You are the magic. You do not need to wait for guidance from elsewhere. The path is already laid out in your dreams, if only you have the courage to trust it and walk with an open heart. When you live in your dream and your dream lives in you, and then one day without warning, without a crash of thunder, without a flash of light in the sky, you realize the simplest miracle: you no longer need to distinguish between waking and dreaming. There are no longer two worlds. There are no more boundaries. It is all one. A single flow of consciousness, an endless dance between form and formlessness, between the finite and the infinite, between the small self and the great self. You begin to live in absolute harmonies where every thought, every action, every emotion resonates like ripples on the still lake of consciousness. You walk through life as if you were walking in your own dream. But this time you know you are dreaming. You know you are creating moment by moment. There is no more hurry. There is no more confusion. There is no more feeling of trying to be someone else. You already are. You have always been, and now you remember. Every morning when you open your eyes, you no longer see a cold, random world. You see signs welcoming you, the sunlight glinting on the window like a greeting from the universe, the distant bird song like your own soul melody, the chance coincidences on the street like sweet guiding signs. You no longer need to search for meaning. Meaning finds you because now you yourself have become the gate, where dreams and reality meet, where the light of the soul shines through every small action. You no longer need to control everything, because you understand it is in the deepest letting go, in the unconditional trust, in the wisdom of the soul, that you achieve your greatest strength. You can face adversity without falling. You can love without holding on. You can create without fear of failure, because you know the outside world is just a garment of the eternal self that is blossoming within you, without judgment, without permission. I once saw a small child sitting alone in the park. He closed his eyes, stretched out his hands, and whispered something into the air. When I asked him, he smiled, pointed to the invisible space, and said, "I am building a castle there." And I realized that child was living in the same space that I was standing in, but his world was richer, more alive, more free. He had not yet been programmed to doubt what he felt. He had not forgotten that dreams and reality are just two sides of the same mirror. And in that moment, I understood awakening is not a journey outward, but a return to the original imagination, to the original love, to the unshakable belief that I am an inseparable part of this great miracle. So you ask how to maintain this state, how not to lose it in the storm of the world. The answer is not a complicated method or technique. The answer is presence, total presence in every moment. When you eat, eat if the universe is eating through you. When you walk, walk as if the earth is feeling your every step. When you look into someone's eyes, look as if you are seeing a part of your own soul reflected back. Every action, no matter how small, can become a ritual, a prayer, a symphony. If you put your heart into it, you do not have to retreat to the mountains or seek mystical rituals. You just need to be present. You just need to remember that every moment, whether in dreams or in reality, is an opportunity to love more, to be more grateful, to create more, to live more truly. And if there are times when you forget, because you will forget, that is the nature of life, then don't blame yourself. Just smile, come back. Every time you come back, you make the bridge between the worlds stronger, brighter, more solid, more. You will see that even the challenges, the losses, the sufferings are no longer things to be afraid of. They are just lessons, thresholds that require you to open your heart even more, to contain more light, to love more than you ever believed possible. And finally, you realize you are not the one dreaming a dream about life. You are life dreaming itself in your form. And when you live with that awareness, you become a living embodiment of miracles, a mirror for other souls searching for their way home. Live as if each day is a sacred dream. Love as if you have never been hurt. Create it as if the universe is painting you with every brushstroke of light. And remember, you are not just dreaming, you are being dreamed by the infinite source to whom you belong forever. From dreamer to creator, becoming the architect of your own reality. When you enter that state, the state where dream and reality merge, where every moment carries within it the sacredness of an unexploded miracle, you are no longer a dreamer. You become a creator, a true creator, not by forced effort, not by repressed ambition, but by a deep resonance between your soul and the universe. You are no longer chasing after life, no longer struggling to achieve something outside. You design your life from within by the invisible seeds you plant in your consciousness, by the absolute consistency between what you think, what you feel, and what you do. You understand that every dream you cherish, every emotion you nurture, every thought you hold, is weaving the reality you will enter. You are no longer fooled by the delay of physical time. You know that when you tune into your frequency, the entire universe responds. Maybe not immediately, but surely, like a flower slowly opening to the sun. I once heard a story about a man who had lost everything: his job, his family, his health. In desperation, he began to meditate every night before going to sleep, not asking for anything, simply sending a single intention into his dreams. Please guide me back to myself. And one night in his dream, he saw himself walking through a golden field in the evening light, and there a child, a small version of himself, was waiting, holding out a tiny seed. When he took the seed, he woke up, and from that day on, something strange happened. Little by little, he rebuilt his life, no longer out of fear, but out of gratitude, simplicity, and trust. He no longer needed to search for success. Success came to him as gently as a cool breeze to a thirsty field. So do you when you awaken from your dream and bring that awakening into your daily life. You no longer need to achieve anything. Every day you live in communion with the universe. Every sleep you enter deeper levels of your soul's wisdom. Every action, no matter how small, is an offering to the divine. Breathing through you, you no longer ask, "What should I do to be successful?" Instead, you ask, "What wants to be born through me today?" You no longer struggle to change the world. You change yourself, and the world responds like a reflection. Sometimes that creativity comes as a sudden burst of light, an idea, an image, an emotion that prompts you to act. Sometimes it comes as a deep stillness, a silent rain that waters the seeds you planted long ago. You learn to be patient. You learn to trust. You learn to dance with the secret rhythm of life instead of trying to impose your own rhythm on it. And most of all, you learn to love. Love not as a passing emotion, but as a state of being. Love not only what is pleasant and beautiful, but also the cracks, the brokenness, the unfulfilled dreams, because you understand that all of them are ingredients for a greater rebirth. You love yourself not because you are perfect, but because you are an inseparable part of the infinite perfection that sings its song through you. And so you are no longer just dreaming. You are awake in the dream. You are creating. You are breathing with the universe. You are walking in the light of the immortal self that you have always been, and you are no longer afraid. So tonight, when you close your eyes, remember that you are not just going to sleep. You are entering the soul's creative workshop. You are encountering untapped possibilities, seeds of the future that are just waiting for your permission to sprout. And when you wake up, don't let old habits hold you back. Remember who you are. Live as if you know that every moment, every step, every glance is painting the great picture of your soul in this life. It's time to stop dreaming big dreams. It's time to live them. It's time to stop asking if you are worthy and start walking as if you are the answer to that dream, because you are. You always have been, and you always will be. You are the dream that wakes up, and this world is waiting for you to create. If you have come this far with me, stop for a moment, close your eyes, and feel something is stirring inside you. A warm current, a silent transformation that no force on earth can resist. It is not just a feeling, it is a rebirth. It is your soul opening its eyes after a long sleep, and you realize you are not just a dreamer in a strange dream. You are the dream itself. You are the one who has chosen to come here in this form, at this time carrying the seeds of light to plant in the soil of the physical world. There is no more doubt. There is no more hesitation. You have remembered. You are the bridge between worlds. You are the door to the divine. Every sleep of yours is a journey. Every morning you wake up is a return. And every day you live with awareness is an act of divine creation, reaching deep into the depths that generations before you have forgotten, in their long sleep of self-forgetfulness. You don't need to wait for another sign. You don't need to wait for a miracle out there. The miracle is flowing in your blood, dancing in every beat of your heart, whispering in every breath you take. And when you remember that when you start acting as if every moment you live matters, every look you give can light another soul, you become a person who changes the world without screaming, without fighting. Remember, true awakening is not running away from this life to find a distant paradise. True awakening is when you can bring paradise down to earth, through your eyes, through your words, through your daily actions. When you no longer wait for a miracle, but you are the miracle. When you are no longer looking for light elsewhere, you are the torch. There may be days when you feel lost alone in a world that seems unprepared. Don't let that discourage you. Light doesn't need a crowd to be valuable. A single spark is enough to tear through the thickest darkness, and your soul, your light, the dream that awakens within you, is powerful enough to change everything. Live as a lucid dreamer, a creator on purpose. Bring what you see in your dreams, freedom, love, healing, courage, into every step, every hug, every laugh of your daily life. Love as if you've never been afraid. Dream as if there are no limits. Create as if you were holding the ingredients of the universe in your hands, because you are. And if one day you forget, because we all do, just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and remember you have awakened before you will awaken again. And each time you do, you are one step closer to your true self. You did not come here to live a small life, bound by fear and limitation. You came here to shine, to expand, to love, to create, to dance with the secret rhythm of the universe that resonates within you. So tonight, before you fall asleep, remember that you are not just resting, you are preparing for a journey where every step, every image, every message in your dreams is a guide, a map, a treasure. And when you wake up, live as if you carry the light of 1,000 stars in your chest. Walk as if every step you take on the ground is a silent prayer for the world. Love as if you and your beloved have never been apart. And remember, you are not just living a dream. You are weaving the great tapestry of existence with every waking moment, every full beat of your heart. If you feel this lesson touch your deepest self, if you feel that fire rekindling in your chest, don't keep it to yourself. Share this light, spread this fire, subscribe, share this video so that other souls who are also longing to awaken can find their way home. Because the world is waiting for you, waiting for us to dream together and wake up in that dream. See you again at the next gateway. Thank you.